Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Engadget podcast. I'm senior editor Devendra Hardawar. To my right, this way is reviews editor Sherlyn Lowe. Right below me is our guest Patrick Lucas Austin from Time. Hey, Patrick.
Oh,
hey, what's
damn.
going on?
There we
go. And then Ben Ellman, that way, is our podcast producer. Hey, Ben.
What? Oh, man.
I love doing this. I love doing this.
There we go.
Welcome. Good morning. I'm seeing people in the chat room. I see Kamado DC. I see Bob Bobby. Sumesha Upreti was here at the beginning. Like we got folks lining up, and we're going to be talking about the Switch OLED today, and that's specifically why I brought you, why we want to chat with you, Patrick, because I know you're a bit of a gamer too, and we're going to try to convince Sherlyn to see if she needs to upgrade too. Like, this is the conversation. But yeah, how's everybody doing?
I'm good.
Shout out to our chat. Wilso, hello. Buddy,
good morning from the Bahamas.
Yeah,
good morning from the Bahamas. Nice. Wow, it's got to be. It's uncomfortably humid here in the Northeast, in the New York area. Like, what does it feel like there? You must be just swimming.
I mean, at least you've got ocean air. You know,
it's probably by a beach or something. So
by the beach,
if the Wi-Fi is strong enough.
Lovely.
Yep. Hello, everybody. Stuart Wiley from the UK.
Bob, Louis.
Should be fun. This is gonna be a fun one. Just so you guys.
Oh wow!
First time commenter. I love this. Sorry, I got excited.
And we've got a Sakis Karaanthesis, who's from Greece. Hello! Wow,
must be
like an international.
Very
audience.
late there.
This is awesome.
Heads up to everybody, by the way. We have to cut this stream a little early today, just because our video team has to run out. So we will be ending our stream by 11:30 a.m. today. Just keep that in mind. We're going to be moving a little forward. There's not as much news this week, so that's good. Are you guys good to go?
For the show proper, yes.
Yes.
Yep,
and FYI for the audience, we are going to be recording the Engadget podcast. We cannot talk to you in the middle of that, but we will break out and do some Q&A segments to get your feedback and everything. So just sit tight. Ben will be keeping an eye on your comments here in the chat. And
that reminds me, I need to bring up my chat log thing.
Bring up your chat log. You can also tweet us at Engadget with the hashtag podcast live, and that is a slightly less busy feed for us to see your comments. So try that as well.
Also looking at that on TweetDeck. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this new Switch OLED, and then we're going to be talking directly to chat. So it might be 15 or 20 minutes of us talking about the Nintendo Switch, and then we can talk about the Nintendo Switch with anyone who in the chat, or any of the other stuff that we usually do. If you're looking for buying guides or really anything, that's your time to get in touch with us.
Let's I know people have a lot of feels about the Switch, so we are here to break it down. Let us get going.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna kick off the podcast proper, folks. What's up, internet, and welcome back to the Engadget podcast. I'm senior editor Devendra Hardawar.
I'm reviews editor Sherlyn Lowe.
This week, it is all about the OLED Switch. There's a brand new Switch model that Nintendo just dropped on us out of the blue, but it's not quite what we were expecting. It is not the Switch Pro, and we're going to dive into what is going on there. As always, if you're enjoying the Engadget podcast, please be sure to subscribe on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes because that's always super helpful. And you can join us Thursday mornings around 10 a.m. Eastern to see us do a live stream of this podcast recording. Join us on our YouTube channel. You can chat with us and we'll do some Q&A. It's always a fun time. You can also email us at you could also email us at podcast@engadget.com, and we can bring up your questions on the air down the line. So let's talk about this OLED Switch. And to really break it down, we have Patrick Lucas Austin, technology columnist at Time, to chat about it. Hey, Patrick.
What's going on, guys? Great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Hey, guys, we've been hearing rumors for months about a new Switch, right? It's going to do everything. It's going to do 4K. It's going to have an OLED screen. It's going to be bigger. It's going to blow away all other Switches, but this device really isn't that. Patrick, you want to break down what are the basic upgrades here, and we will talk about what's missing after that.
Yeah. It seems like the world wanted a Nintendo Switch that, that slices and dices and, does all those
Exactly.
cool features. 4K, bigger screen, better graphics, new processor, Bluetooth support. But we didn't
A
really
whole
get
new system, basically.
yeah, we didn't really get much of any of that. We got a new Switch with a slightly bigger screen and a slightly updated screen, and it seems slightly better speakers. And that seems to be
Yep.
the big leap forward when it comes to the Nintendo Switch OLED, they're calling it. It seems.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bigger kickstand. They're fixing like all the small design flaws from the original Switch. There's a wider kickstand, which looks similar to like the Surface, the Microsoft Surface computers. There's Ethernet on the dock. They're like little minimal upgrades. I do like the fact that this bigger screen, it's a 7-inch OLED, and we'll talk about the benefits of OLED in a bit too. But the screen itself fits within the same like box, the same case as the original Switch. So it's just less bezel. It is a slightly more futuristic or slightly more modern looking Switch, at least.
Question.
Thoughts, folks. Yes.
Any updates to battery size with the OLED?
No.
Oh boy.
This is Nintendo. Charlene, you're gonna learn the joys of Nintendo. Like, we're here talking about Samsung every 6 months, like adds a new hardware feature or something. Nintendo's like, nah, bro. Like, you're good with 3 to 4 years of the same hardware. We're gonna throw you a small bone. We're gonna charge you $50 more. This Switch is $350. $50 more than the original Switch and $150 more than the Switch Lite. This is Nintendo. Nintendo like just has its own rules. What were your first impressions when you saw this thing? Because we'll get into like the internet dynamic, because I think a lot of people felt disappointed because of those rumors of something Nintendo never announced, right? People whip themselves up getting hyped for like 4K upscaling, but that nobody ever said that was actually happening. But so it's weird to get disappointed based on internet rumors. But Patrick, how are your feelings on this thing?
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head in terms of expectations, because the internet is really good at drumming up rumors and then leaving everyone disappointed when the actual product comes out. It doesn't have XYZ feature that you expected, and that's kind of it's kind of your fault for expecting it, because the company never said they were bringing it out. That being said, this update, from Nintendo doesn't really surprise me. It's very much in line with Nintendo's strategy as a whole. You see this kind of behavior when it comes to something like you can go as far back as the Game Boy. You've got the Game Boy, then you've got the smaller Game Boy Pocket, you've got the Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color.
Like,
I was so annoyed when they came out.
Yeah, I'm sure, because it kind of it differentiated the market, or fractured the market in such a way that wasn't really a full fracture, but you got these upgraded features. If you got a Game Boy Color, you got color games. You seen it with the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP. There was a Game Boy Advance Micro. So with the DS as well, Nintendo really has a history of making these small updates to their handheld consoles that don't really hit the nail on the head, for fans who are looking for an upgrade, looking for that jump in hardware, and jump in hardware and not necessarily software, because we want those Switch games, so you want to still be able to play them, but we just want to play them on a more quality piece of hardware, essentially.
Yep. And Nintendo has a history of baffling upgrades, I'd say. I think the 3DS line was the one that kind of annoyed me the most, because I bought the original 3DS and Nintendo saw what was happening. Like, it did not work. The 3D didn't work very well. The games weren't like basically 6 months after Nintendo launched it, close to $300, I believe, or $250. They lowered the price by a lot, which never happens. And Nintendo then gave original 3DS owners some free games. So like, hey, we're sorry. Here's some free games that you'll never be able to bring to your other systems. I was so annoyed. I was so mad. And then they made the 3DS XL. It's bigger. Then they made the new 3DS, which has a slightly better processor that only like 5 games ever took advantage of. So Nintendo's history of these sorts of console upgrades are kind of wild, are all over the place. Here's my argument, though. I do think, first of all, OLED itself, an OLED screen is going to be a big upgrade for portable Switch play. OLED is bolder, in some instances brighter. I know, like, overall, when it comes to TVs, OLED isn't as bright as LCDs, but the Switch LCD was never super bright. I always had issues playing that thing outside, certainly in direct sunlight. It just wasn't a very powerful screen. So OLED itself, doesn't have to worry about backlighting, has bolder colors. It'll be better for contrast. It's going to look a lot better for outside play, and I think be even better in direct sunlight. So I think people are going to appreciate that. The bigger screen, to me, just looks nice. I cannot wait to get my hands on this thing. But they didn't change anything on the processor side. They confirmed there's no new processor. There's no difference in RAM here. So it's going to perform the same like the other Switches. Not necessarily a bad thing, because whenever Nintendo upgrades hardware, they just don't always take advantage of it, and it fractures the marketplace, So you don't want to be in a position where Nintendo has this new OLED Switch model or a new model that can only play that can play games that other Switches can't. Then things get confusing and things get messy. Yeah. So let's break down some of the 4K stuff here. I do think, like, yeah, this isn't a great upgrade for a lot of people, but if you bought a Switch launch day, your thing is getting a little busted, you want a slightly better screen. If you didn't upgrade for that, there was like a stealth upgrade in 2019 when the second gen, they added a more efficient chipset that bumped the battery life all the way up to 9 hours. This is going to be taking advantage of that too. So you're going to get better battery life than the launch Switch, which is nice. And there's 64 gigabytes of onboard storage instead of 32, so a little more usable space there. I think for original Switch owners, or new people getting into it, this is kind of the system to buy if you want the best overall experience. But the Switch Lite is still $200. You're going to do really well with that. Let's talk about 4K though. Like, Patrick, were you excited about the rumors for 4K upscaling on the Switch? Because this is where things get complicated, because it was never about 4K in portable mode, because that would be insane, right? It was about potentially 4K when you docked it to your TV.
Yeah, and I think the rumor of 4K using NVIDIA's sort of DLSS tech to sort of upscale lower resolution stuff, I think the rumor was a little too good to be true. Because when I think about Nintendo, the last thing I think about is, cutting edge graphics, high quality video, things like that. Like, honestly, it's the last thing I think about when I think about Nintendo. Think about the Wii and the Wii U. I think the Wii shipped with like component cables, and like in a world of HDMI, in a world of 4K.
I mean, the Wii was it was before everybody had HDTV, so the Wii was 2006, 2007. So it was like in that transition period.
Sure.
So, but yeah, that was like the last like actual analog cable system, basically.
Sure. And it seems like Nintendo's never really been on these sort of.
Let's hold this a second, because you've got a police siren in the background.
We've got Flatbush in the background.
Yeah. So that's what happens when you live in Brooklyn, baby.
What I do miss, I would occasionally hear the European style sirens down there, which I think was one of the first neighborhoods to get some of that. Yeah, some New York neighborhoods were getting it. So it was like, was that wee woo, a little different. It's nice. It's like nice and gentle. I love it.
Okay, so if you could take like a couple sentences back from where you were, if you remember. If you don't,
wait. Well, now. Follow-up noise.
Like I said, podcasting is a challenge.
Yep.
But I can go back to. I can just restart my thought.
Okay, good.
Nintendo's never really been, in terms of 4K, in terms of high def, it's never really been on the cutting edge.
Right.
When I think of Nintendo, the last thing I think is 4K, is 1080p. Upscaling, things like that, crisp textures. I don't think about that stuff. I think about having a good time playing a game. Sure, is it 720p or like a struggling 1080p? Sure,
800p being upscaled to 1080 somehow. Yeah, people don't care. Nintendo players don't care about the P's. They just want the games to run.
I think that's perfect. That's totally accurate. They don't care about the resolution, and I think that is a more
Mhm.
that is an element of gaming Nintendo is leaving to the players who can handle it. You know, Microsoft, Sony, you know, your PC. You know, do all your upscaling and high res stuff there.
Yep,
When you have a
exactly.
Switch, it's about the games.
And to be absolutely clear, so I think the rumors were saying like DLSS is NVIDIA's technology we've talked about before, which uses lower resolution textures and then uses like AI processing of a game, like AI renderings basically to mimic what a higher resolution texture would look like. It's gotten so good, to be honest, in PC gaming, a DLSS upscaled version of a game in 4K often looks better than actually rendering the game at 4K. Like things are getting pretty wild here. And it for a Switch, for a docked Switch, that would just mean your games look a little nicer and a little crisper. You know, you'd have less jagged edges. It's not going to like upgrade the frame rate or anything. Like it probably won't lead to that, although maybe it'll keep you at a more solid 30 FPS. But it wasn't going to be like a miracle thing. They were even like rumoring like maybe DLSS in portable mode so that the games could even be rendered lower and then still like look nice at 720p in portable. That seems like a lot of work. And, you know, that seems like new system amounts of work. It doesn't seem like a slight refresh to the Switch. What do you think, Sherlyn?
I mean, I guess, would you guys be excited if something similar came out on, say, if there's still a rumored Switch Pro?
Oh, it's going to happen. We're going to, yeah.
So is this something that would make you guys excited whenever it does happen?
I'm a little wary because, you know, we've seen that Nintendo can handle those high-end games. It just does it in a different way. It uses its sort of streaming tech to stream something like a, you know, Control to your Switch. I wasn't sure if it was Control or another game.
It's Control and a whole bunch of, I think, Resident Evil now.
Yes, Resident Evil was the other one I was thinking of. But you know, if they want those high-end games on their console, they can get them there right now. You know, it is in a sort of compromised capacity. You know,
you got to be near internet. You have to hope there's no lag. Yeah.
You know, but it's an option. Whether the Switch Pro sort of incorporates this NVIDIA DLSS, I can see it happening if the benefits sort of outweigh the cost of doing it. You know, the work that would go into sort of adopting this tech. But yeah, why not?
Yep, absolutely. And this is where it gets complicated, Sherlyn, because you're new to the world of consoles now. I know you're a proud Switch owner. Nintendo and every console company is not ashamed to be like, here's a minor refresh, and then 1 year later give you like a much bigger refresh that I just paid money for this thing. Now I gotta go buy the other thing. That could easily happen. We could potentially see that 4K upscaling Switch Pro next year. I'm not I don't think we'll get like a Switch sequel or anything anytime soon, because it's just kind of going so strong for Nintendo. But the other thing is we've talked about the global chip shortage and how it's affected car companies and GPU companies and CPU companies. And if Nintendo
companies don't even baby product companies, everybody.
If Nintendo wanted to have DLSS, they would need a whole new NVIDIA Tegra chip. And that's where things get wild, because then you're asking for new hardware from NVIDIA. And NVIDIA's out here being like, we can barely produce GPUs right now, bro. What are you asking for? I'm not gonna like supply millions of Switches with this new thing. So I think the capacity may not even be there this year. Maybe in a non-pandemic time, Nintendo probably could have gotten the new hardware out there. We don't know. It's hard to tell. But yeah, how are you feeling about these upgrades, Sherlyn? Does it make you feel like your Switch right now seems old?
Yeah, okay. Couple I want to bring up 3 things that people on the internet have said about this. And obviously the internet was ablaze with people and their feels. But I can start with my own thoughts, right? I don't care.
Until you see it. Until you see it.
Look at it. I feel like the bezels look thin enough to be like, oh, okay, girl, I see you skinny now. And then like the internet was saying yes, like what we've already said throughout this episode so far, right? People really a lot of people use the Switch nowadays in docked mode, so really an OLED screen doesn't make a big difference, I guess.
I don't know about that, Sherlyn. I'm gonna have to check your data over there
as well,
because everybody
Maybe it's just
Everybody's like, all I do is play Switch in portable mode. Like, I play Switch in bed. I play Switch on the toilet. Yeah, there's docking seems like the old school gamer thing. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm an old school gamer. Hurrah. Okay. The other two things the internet was saying. One, and one thing that people were asking about was, has Nintendo fixed the Joy-Con drift?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, how about you give us that too? Like, what could you try to fix that, Nintendo?
Nah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
And the third thing that
we haven't heard if they're going to fix it, but it is the same Joy-Con technology. Like, it's the same stuff, just like different colors. There's a black and white case now and a white dock that I really like. But they haven't fully addressed like, oh, will this fix it? Probably not.
Yes. Well, we don't know. Yeah, like we don't know yet, and we'll have to test it out to see if there's a difference there. But the last thing is what you just brought up, which is everyone's like, "Oh, a new color. It's nice." I don't know. Like I actually do like the white color option. And would that be the thing that makes me buy a new Switch OLED?
It wouldn't be the color. No.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the color. Hearing what you guys just said, though, I think I'm more inclined to wait it out and wait for the next year model, because if Nintendo is going to screw people who buy this model by releasing a new one next year, then I sooner just wait. Yeah. I even bought mine secondhand, so I'm good.
Let me just say, Sherlyn, Nintendo does not screw people. Nintendo blesses us with new choices in the marketplace.
I'm sorry, Lord Nintendo.
Lord Mario, I must like, it's it always feels
Bowser.
like a gift. He's secretly Bowser.
President Pikachu, Boss Bowser. Let's do the alliteration.
I mean, Bowser is literally CEO of Nintendo of America, right? So it's weird how things have kind of gotten here. But yeah, this is overall, this is a weird device right now. There are a couple other things worth mentioning. It is nice having a bigger kickstand. I do think like that little tiny skinny thing they gave us at the beginning was practically useless. You know, like I remember trying to set up and run videos of the original Switch when we were reviewing it. It would barely stay on the table. If I kicked it like if I moved the table a little, it would go flying. Forget about putting a Switch like on a airplane tray or something or anywhere in a car. Like it was just not really functional. So I think that little bit is kind of nice. I don't know. Any other like little nice nifty things you guys would upgrade to get with this one?
I think honestly the biggest thing might be that kickstand feature.
Yeah.
For me. Like you said, the last one's flimsy, but I think overall, you know, I'm gonna maybe offer an unpopular opinion here, but I think this is a big miss for Nintendo in terms of upgrades. You know, I question why they made the screen bigger rather than just replace the screen with an OLED screen and keep that sort of compatibility going in terms of docks and accessories like Labo, which I know they said there's going to be some like slight inconsistencies with. I'm wondering why they didn't add Bluetooth audio. I'm wondering, you know.
Well, we know why they didn't add Bluetooth audio, right? Because the story is the Joy-Cons use Bluetooth to connect to the system. So they cannot be like...
That's why that sucks. Anyway.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, but the Joy-Cons use Bluetooth. So they're like, well, it's like you cannot, if you have an Apple TV, you cannot connect Bluetooth remotes like Bluetooth gamepads and a Bluetooth headset at the same time. Bluetooth is very limited. It's really finicky. So what Nintendo would have to do for a future system is have like a dedicated wireless chip, like their own thing, similar to what Microsoft does with the Xbox 360, like wireless audio stuff, or the Xbox stuff. So Nintendo would have to fix that in a different way. But that is the reason. You know, that's the reason we're having these Joy-Con problems, to like partially. And it stinks. Like I would like simple Bluetooth because that's the way every mobile device works, right?
Right. And you know, I just think the upgrade as a whole, without extra processing power, without, you know, maybe even native, you know, 1080p in portable mode, I just think it's kind of a misstep. And I actually don't get why they did it, because the Switch is still selling like hotcakes. I think
that's why they did it though. I think it's because like it's hey, it's $50 more. OLED is getting cheap. Everybody's using OLED screens now. Everybody wants a bigger screen. There are a lot of people out there who've had, when did the Switch originally come out? Was that 2017? You know, there are people who've had a
Second
Switch
it.
for a while now, and they're like itching for something new. So those few people who have the money and the freedom to go buy this thing, they go buy that. They sell their old Switch. They give it to a family member or something, or they like use it only in their bedroom. It's only good for Nintendo, right? It's not like they're being like, this is our brand new console and our entire business relies on this one thing. Nah, it's just another piece of the money-making machine. And it's just like they throw it in there and the Switch just keeps printing money. Like that, I feel like that's the only thing. That's the main thing here, right?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I might not agree with it, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like me as a troubled Nintendo fan right now, like I feel constantly abused by this company because of these upgrades. Like the Game Boy Advance was the first system I ever imported from Japan because I had a high school job and I was able to like get that thing 6 months early. It was super cool. And then I was like, there's no backlight. It is really hard to play this thing at certain points. Like there's a push and pull with loving Nintendo products because Nintendo does not always love you back. And this is certainly one of those examples, I think. Cool. Like I feel like I'd love to hear more about your thoughts, Sherlyn. So why don't we make that like the last thing as we round this up? So Sherlyn, having heard all of this, all the upgrades, the pros and cons of being a Nintendo fan, how do you feel about the Switch OLED?
I want to say that, Patrick, I don't think what you said you had an unpopular opinion, but from what I'm seeing on at least our live chat right now, as we're
the internet is mad. Yeah.
You're not alone in this. You're in fact very widely supported, it seems. People are upset at this thing. And like I said earlier, I'm not gonna run out and buy a new one soon. I'm like pretty set with I barely even touch it until I fly to places again on long haul like trips. You know, I don't think out of docked mode, you know, the Switch is gonna appeal to me. So I'm not disappointed, but kind of enjoying y'all's disappointment, just being like,
oh yeah, you're an Android user. You're used to widespread disappointment.
Wow.
Yes.
Excuse me. I now have. I will tell you all the iPhones. So don't even.
You do. I know. It's you're slowly coming over to the dark side. It's incredible to watch. Patrick, any big takeaways here? Like to me, this feels like this is one of those devices that nobody actually needs, but I absolutely want. Because I'm a big OLED fan. Yeah.
Sure. I think any console upgrade is going to be appealing because there's always going to be one thing that attracts you to it, you know, and we are attracted to the newest thing, you know, the smallest upgrade, the shiny things that appeal to us. As somebody who uses his Switch a lot, you know, I play a few times a week. I love it. I have no desire to upgrade really because I'm getting a kick out of it still after all these years. I kind of wish Nintendo would address other issues like Joy-Con drift, which I am currently suffering from. You know, issues like their online service, which is kind of middling compared to the competition. There are definitely other things to address to make the platform experience better, more intuitive, more friendly. Rather than introducing a new SKU to the market. I definitely understand why they did it. I was talking to a friend who I, let play my Switch, and she's like, "Oh, this is like the gateway console," because after I let her play it, she talks about games all the time now. So I get why.
Is your friend me?
Let me check. Her name is Sherlyn.
There we go.
But like, I see why Nintendo would refresh something as iconic, as popular, as relatively inexpensive as the Switch compared to the competition. But I think if you're already a Switch owner, there's no reason to get all hyped about it. Just wait till next year or probably 2 years at this point.
Absolutely.
Considering the chip shortage.
Just to round things up, hey folks, normalize giving away your old consoles. There are kids in your life, there are kids in your neighborhood that could probably use a Switch. I feel like that's part of it too. So I'm big into just sharing my toys sometimes. It's like, this is also my excuse to upgrade to do things over and over again. It's like, oh well, cousin, bro, neighbor down the street. You know, like
Sure.
this is somebody I can give some new hardware and it'll get some new life and some new appreciation. For Nintendo, it's another vector for more digital purchases. So like Nintendo wins. Nintendo is like just king, God king of the gaming world. All praise Nintendo. Patrick, let's I will wrap you for the audio and then you can stick around for the Q&A, like answer questions with the folks too.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Patrick Lucas Austin, thank you so much for joining us on the Engadget podcast to break down the Switch. Where can people find your work on the internet?
Yo, thanks for having me. I am the tech columnist at Time Magazine, so you can go to time.com and read everything there. We've got a lot of good stuff, not just tech, but the tech is pretty good. And
I've heard of Time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's a website with a magazine on the side. But you can find me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever at patbits, PATBITS, where I am offering my thoughts about everything, including the upcoming Neon Genesis Evangelion movie.
Yes,
coming out next month. Very excited.
Very excited.
You and Devindra are gonna enjoy that.
All right, thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, I think audio site we're good. We can talk to the audience directly now. First of all, though, a note: both of your shirts look nice as hell. Good job.
It's fancy shirts. Listen, I just saw the second season of I Think You Should Leave, and gotta get your nice shirts.
Watch that.
Gotta get your shirt. Cost me $2,000.
Oh,
you know,
I forgot. I'm wearing.
Oh, what?
Oh, nice! I gotta get one of those.
Wait, is that an
Ted Lasso shirt?
Yeah, it's a Ted Lasso shirt. It's a.
I gotta get a jersey.
It's AFC Richmond.
AFC Richmond, yes.
Hashtag it's coming on, baby. No.
Yeah, coming back.
It's coming on, baby.
Yes, everyone is like, I don't know why football was away, but now it's coming home.
Wait, who was saying that?
Oh, I mean, it's just like everyone who doesn't follow soccer, myself included. I'm just like,
okay.
oh yeah, football was away, but I guess it's coming home because that's what
Americans do, like just World Cup, like for the couple weeks of the World Cup. It's like, oh, big. It's something to cheer on, and then disappear.
But even England says that even at the World Cup. But yeah. I mean, I get it. I get why people don't understand it.
For America, the World Cup is like football Olympics.
Exactly.
Yep. We tune in.
I do love the Olympics. Anyway, so we got a couple of questions. One from Ryan Canary. Comments and questions. Ryan Canary was responding to someone else in the chat who asked, like, okay, if we were to see the actual Switch Pro with upscaled docked graphics and everything, when would that be? And
maybe next year.
Ryan says, once Nintendo makes a ton of money off this model, and then maybe they'll release a Pro version. You know what? Not wrong.
I mean, yeah, maybe next year, like maybe in 2 years.
I feel like 2 years would be like, then you need a full new Switch, right? Like you need a actual sequel if you wait 2 years.
Well, yeah, but like what? There are so many.
But like what is a sequel? Like,
what is a sequel?
Is it like a PS2, PS3 sequel, or is it Series S, Series X sequel?
Hey, listen, the Switch is running a 2016 NVIDIA mobile GPU,
and it's doing great.
It's doing great. We can do better. It is 2021. We can do better. We can at least get like native 1080p. Get us some better 60 FPS performance, because only a couple games get that.
I think it's a real opportunity for Nintendo to sort of take advantage of this huge library it's built over the past 5 years that is bigger than any library it's ever had. It's got Switch games, it's got other Nintendo games, it's got Xbox games, it's got PC games, indie games, all that stuff. And to throw that away for the Switch 2 would be a terrible idea.
I know they wouldn't throw it away though, right? It's the thing. Like this is, I think it's more like Xbox.
Sure. Would there be you assuming like backwards compatibility or something like that? Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And only you see a trickle of games that only work in the new system, but it'll always be backwards compatible. You can always bring your library forward. I hope Nintendo does the Microsoft thing where it's sort of like you have this library for life almost, and you bring it to your next consoles. On Microsoft, you can bring it to your PC, right? Bringing your old Nintendo game libraries to new systems has always been a nightmare. So I hope they figure that out. Yeah.
So, who was it? Oh, Earn NES says that DLSS is going to be big for the new Switch. Barkdale says that I think Nintendo doesn't really need to have doesn't have a more powerful Switch because Nvidia hasn't made a chip that they can use yet, which is
that
like,
we
again,
know of. That's
yeah.
the thing.
The
partners get that info a year in advance, so they can actually build and design towards it. So
we were also just talking about how I don't believe that this like kind of incremental update is specifically because of chip shortages, but you know, it makes it kind of plausible. The chip shortages make the problem already existing makes it plausible. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So yeah, to be clear, I don't think that whether there could have been a billion chips, I don't think Nintendo would have upgraded the console this year. Would have upgraded the Switch this year. We would have gotten the same thing that we just got.
Nintendo's like, here are some scraps, please enjoy. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm kind of wondering if like Nintendo got their OLED screens from the same company that Apple gets its MacBook webcams from, and they just have to like keep using them until they just run out.
So bad.
Yeah, I remember in the before times, sometimes I would go to this meetup for like illustrators and cartoonists, and so like usually I think like all these use cases that they talk about with the Switch commercials are like, oh, that's kind of silly, you know, who would actually you know, set up their Switch at a cafe. But no, I saw someone like see one of their friends, because you know, cartoonists and illustrators are also like almost always very into video games also. They saw a friend, they talked for a second, they pulled a Switch out of their backpack, they put it on the bar at the bar.
I've seen that.
I don't know about this.
And started playing
with my friends.
Super
That's
Smash
how I got
Brothers.
into the Switch. Yeah,
they started playing Super Smash Brothers on the little like just
Hey.
handheld
Pretty
screen.
good. Actually,
another reason to
I've
have a
done that
bigger
with my
screen.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, bigger screen kickstand is nice. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Nintendo's always that's their thing. You're gonna play it in all these weird places. You're gonna like the
and a
new
rooftop
OLED commercial.
soiree with your hipster friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect place for an OLED
Brought
screen
it to
outside.
And I didn't believe that was a possibility. I thought, okay, well, this is kind of silly until I actually saw someone playing Super Smash Brothers at the bar.
Yep. I've seen people playing Mario Kart on planes together. Like it's Nintendo, I think, was the company. Like all my childhood memories are around sitting around a console and playing on a couch with my brother and my friends. You know, it was local couch multiplayer, and they've kind of reinvented that. Couch co-op.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And
I have a question for you guys. I don't know. I know, Ben, I don't know if you're done talking about this, but Irreverent Rex mentioned in the chat, remember the time they kept a glorified calculator on the market for 14 years? Can you guys tell me what that was? A glorified calculator that Irreverent Rex, let us know what you're talking about.
The app?
Game & Watch console?
Oh, the Game & Watch? Yeah. I mean, that's
maybe
little accessories. Hey, we wrote up there's a $10 calculator app that's
Lord,
been on the Switch Marketplace forever. The Switch Marketplace is kind of mad because I wrote it up because it was like, it is a junk software company that just spits out like little tiny apps that people pay $10 for. So it must be keeping them in business. Nintendo's got to clean up that marketplace.
Amazing.
But actually, coming back to like the idea of couch co-op, couch multiplayer, I think that's one of the big reasons why people aren't so frustrated with Nintendo with regard to like not having the highest cutting edge graphics, because you can't do split screen if you're trying to render the same like 4K textures 3 or 4 times.
Oh, definitely.
Like you need a beast of a machine.
Well, so even when Xboxes and other systems do that, they downscale that heavily, so that you're playing like little less than 1080p boxes, you know, or something. Yeah.
So like it makes sense that people would really enjoy playing Splatoon on the same little tiny screen.
Sure.
And they're not really bothered by the fact that everything is so crisp that it makes your eyes bleed.
I don't want to be revisionist here. It's not like Nintendo has always just pushed the bare minimum for hardware. The Super Nintendo was a big deal for me at the time. The Nintendo 64 made 3D graphics a big thing in homes before even 3D cards were huge on PCs, right? That thing was affordable and there and had games. PC video cards were kind of a mess in the mid and late 90s. And the GameCube, I would argue, was far more powerful than either the Xbox One or the original Xbox or the PlayStation 2. That was a powerful system that nobody bought. And then Nintendo was in serious trouble. And then they had to look around and be like, we have all this hardware for the GameCube. What else can we do? Motion controls. Like that's the sort of like ingenuity I kind of love from Nintendo sometimes. So the Wii was not a powerful system, but it took over the world.
Speaking of things nobody bought, the live chat had a bit of a sentiment around this. The Labo. How popular is that thing?
I don't know. People bought Labo, but I think you buy it and then you stop playing with it after a while.
Right. It's a popular thing, or what was that again?
Yeah, it's like a interactive cardboard.
Yeah, cardboard games.
And
there's more about
ropes too, or like elastic bands or something.
Yeah,
for some,
like elastic bands. Hey, listen, guys, I spent 20 hours building Labo projects. So don't diss Labo. It involved a lot of work. Go watch our review and our video. I know kids and families who bought that thing. Like kids play with it, but it's a kid's toy in a way because kids will play with it for like a couple weeks or a month and then forget about it.
Outgrow it.
Occasionally go back to it. Yeah.
Anyhow, and then Navonio Mukherjee asks in the chat again, and I think this started off a little bit of a funny thread in the conversation, which is, what about that name though? The OLED model. Couldn't they have come up with a better name? And then we had
like
Jonathan
the new
Anderson.
3DS.
Wait! Jonathan Anderson literally goes, the new Switch OLED XL Pro Plus Deluxe. And I feel like a lot of other people.
That's a mouthful, though.
It's a mouthful.
It feels like you're ordering something at a fast food drive-thru.
I just want them to bring back the super labeling. Get me my goddamn Super Switch.
Oh, there's a Super Switch.
Super Switch. Come on.
I mean, I like Nintendo Switch Up.
Switch Up.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's...
they up the screen size.
That's nice. Yeah.
And then you can do Pro or Deluxe or Super Switch.
That just makes me think of Jawbone, which is not like the best thing I want to think of.
Jawbone Up.
Yeah.
Bad memories.
Bad memories. Good bracelet, but bad memories. Yeah.
Between them and LG, we've got word vomit all over the place.
We do have about 45 minutes left.
Yep, we got to roll.
Needs to end, so we need to go.
And Patrick,
So Patrick, thank you for joining us. You can go back to your day.
Please save your audio.
Yes, please save your audio. Save it as a WAV format. Also, remember to turn your air conditioning on.
I'm sure he will not forget.
Turn focus mode off. Air conditioning on.
Yeah, I gotta turn focus mode off. This has been so much fun, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
Hope to have you back on soon.
Yes, Patrick.
Yeah. Say again.
We'll have you back on soon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm gonna hit stop and then I'm gonna hit save on this audio.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks also for responding to my last minute request so quickly. You're the best.
And then you can send that to me via WeTransfer or Google Drive or whatever.
This is how we do the show, folks. So stick with us.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to save and then export. Export as WAV.
Yes. You're good. And go ahead. You can close this browser tab, do your thing, and we will keep on going.
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye. Patrick. Later. See you soon, hopefully.
All right.
Okay. Now we're getting. We're getting refocused. We're going to do other news, starting with the Amazon thing. Explain to me why Jedi isn't something that they need to license.
Yeah, I don't. That I don't know. That I don't know. There was no clear explanation of that. So let's go in. I'm gonna get some water.
Oh boy, I love waking up in the morning and seeing that we either didn't
missed embargo,
miss stuff, or hit stuff that we shouldn't have hit, or whatever.
Okay, not our problem. We are in show bubble right now. Okay. let's move on to some other news. And a crazy thing happened this week. We've been hearing about this long battle between Microsoft and Amazon over the Department of Defense's $10 billion Jedi contract over the last few years. They've been kind of buying this contract. The whole point of it is to basically modernize the Pentagon's IT infrastructure, get some cloud bases in there, get better security, basically just make it more modern. The Pentagon awarded that contract to Microsoft in 2019. And we thought all was done. We thought that these companies pitching each other and, really fighting for this thing was done. Then Amazon filed a lawsuit saying the government unfairly awarded this to Microsoft because I think the main thing was like they were claiming that then President Donald Trump basically pushed this thing towards Microsoft because of his hate towards Amazon and its founder, Jeff Bezos. So that was the big thing. And it's been kind of like in legal, it's been going back and forth since then. So this week, the Department of Defense was like, no, we're done fighting. This is really annoying. I just want a better IT system for my Pentagon. So they canceled this entire contract. They announced a new contract, a new thing that's going to do a bit of upgrading. It's not the full thing. That's called the Joint Warfighter Cloud Capability, JWCC. Not as catchy as Jedi. And they're saying they're gonna tap both Microsoft and Amazon for pitches for this contract. So it's a way to like stop the slap fight, but also give both companies another chance to like come back.
It's like a redo, right? It's a redo of that pitch process.
They're also saying this is sort of like a temporary thing until they come up with like a better, bigger contract for what they actually need. So it's kind of messy. But yeah, this is something we have to modernize our infrastructure, certainly our Defense Department infrastructure, because cyber security is a bigger thing. We're seeing hacks from foreign states and random vectors and hacker groups are becoming a bigger and bigger thing. They're starting to affect U.S. businesses. They are shutting down pipelines. Here, like there's bad things happening, so they have to modernize. This is just where we're at. It's kind of like saying, okay, nobody can play with this toy. We're going to build something new so you could both share and play with it a little. I don't know if you have any further thoughts on the Sherlin. It's just like a funny thing and one of those remnants of the like Trump administration and maybe some of the pettiness around that too, because what can they do? They can't really, the DoD can't really, they did an investigation into the Trump administration. Right. And people wouldn't cooperate properly, so they couldn't really tell if they actually influenced the deal. It is a crazy thing, but I think another sign of just like what a wild 4 years we just lived through, and now we're just trying to like pick up the pieces from all of it. I don't know if you have any further thoughts on this, Sherlin.
I think our producer Ben was pretty obsessed with finding out why it's named Jedi and whether there was licensing requirements. Now, just to be clear, Jedi stands for Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure. So not too far off from Joint Warfighter Cloud Contract or what it was they ended up with.
It is an acronym we all know, right?
Yeah, cloud capability. So instead of it's Joint Warfighter instead of Jedi, which still has that same like space fighting connotation to it. Sure. Fun. I don't know whoever's naming these contracts or it's probably having a lot of fun, but nowhere else in this is anyone having fun. I think.
I don't think we ever heard like, hey, was Lucasfilm okay with them calling it Jedi? Because when Motorola had its Droid phones, its Android phones, there was always that little thing. There's a small text at the bottom. Droid is a license. Droid is a trademark of Lucasfilm, and they basically had to license that name just to have Droid. Jedi feels like it would be the same thing, but I don't know.
We never know, but out of this, I'm left with a lot of kind of questions that I don't know if we have answers to. Like, so like, what's going on with the cloud stuff for the government right now? Like, what's being done to secure it?
there's a lot. I mean, there were also stories going around of like the FBI and CIA and other folks like using ancient systems, like using because their IT departments were not fully up to snuff. I think even into the 2000s they were using systems that still relied on floppy disks and things like that. So we've got a lot of work to do. We'll be keeping an eye on this because it's certainly a big story. There's just a lot we don't know right now.
Yeah, and in some ways old tech is more secure, actually, like super old tech, but yeah, we have to keep an eye on this. Anyhow, more news in the people fighting each other front. 37 states now have launched an antitrust suit against Google over the Play Store. Now, this is a familiar story. Basically, we've heard similar cases of either companies like Epic, right, being upset at companies like Google and Apple over their app stores, requiring them to use certain payment processing methods, like in-house payment processing methods. So this is sort of more of the same. The case filed with lots and lots of states, including New Jersey, New York, Utah, etc., alleges a few things. One, that Google is unlawfully running Android as a monopoly. The App Store closes out other people, closes the Android app distribution market to competitors. And then the fact that Play Stores come pre-installed on a lot of Android devices, etc., etc., etc. Now we've seen Google receive such complaints before in the past. This is a big antitrust suit, though. This is 37 days.
This is Google pointing at iOS and be like, what? Yeah. Look at this locked, secure thing where you can't do anything, and you're coming at us. I don't know if you recall this, Sherlyn, from your childhood or infancy. I don't know, but the Microsoft Internet Explorer antitrust stuff in the late 90s was also about, hey, this internet seems important, and the fact that you have a browser built into your operating system and that you can easily kill competition for Netscape and other things. You had to pay for Netscape. I remember paying $30 for Netscape Navigator in the late 90s. Whereas Internet Explorer was just there and just free. How could anybody compete with that? This feels like a similar thing, right? The app economy is the new internet, basically.
Yeah, I mean, look, Google published a blog post in response, right? Google's Wilson White, Senior Director of Public Policy, said in their blog post that it's strange that a group of state attorneys general chose to file a lawsuit attacking a system that provides more openness and choice than others. This complaint mimics a similarly meritless lawsuit filed by the large app developer Epic Games, which has benefited from Android's openness. So that's what you're saying, where it is pointing fingers at how about Apple? Apple's the only way you can
we are the most open of the walled gardens.
Right. And again, we've talked about this in past episodes where you have, again, rightly brought up Microsoft. I'm imagining Microsoft just sitting back and laughing, just going now you have to deal with it.
There are some benefits to not being the biggest in the world of a particular flat platform, and that is antitrust doesn't lock onto you. I think Google has a lot of stuff to figure out here. I think that's also partially why Microsoft, when they announced what the Microsoft Store updates are going to be for Windows 11, they were like, hey, you could bring your own app stores. You could bring your own, payment processors. We won't take any money. It is funny how Microsoft is taking the opposite tack, because nobody uses the Microsoft Store, so they can afford to be like, hey, sure, do whatever you want. Just please come to us, come to our platform.
I mean, look, this is another one of those situations that's going to be ongoing. That's going to be going on for a while, and we're going to have to keep an eye on it.
Sure.
But will this change very much a lot of things that are, currently in existence? I highly doubt it. I don't know about you, Devendra.
It's going to be an ongoing story. It's not going to change anything, but I do think Epic certainly was the company kind of pushing this for a while. Don't forget, they took Fortnite off the Play Store, a couple of years ago. They tried to make it a sideload only thing. And they realized nobody was doing that. So I believe they put it back on. But now there are also stories going around about Google moving away from open APKs. And that's something we have to dig deeper in, because it sounds like they're thinking of turning app installs basically into a closed package similar to iOS, right? So it's not going to be a free-for-all moving forward. We're going to have to talk more about that down the line because I'm interested to know what you think there, Shalyn.
Yeah, we have to. Whenever that all develops, we'll keep an eye on it.
We'll keep an eye out. Let's move on to something fun and cool that I ended up covering this week. And this is BMW's futuristic electric scooter, the CE04, which looks like it's pulled straight out of anime. And I kind of love this thing. Last year, we saw a concept vehicle, also called the CE04. It looked similar, but that one like had more paneling. It didn't have mirrors. Like it looked like an actual RoboCop prop. Whereas this one just looks like, man, I would love to have like a little electric bike that I could take around a city if I lived in a functioning city. This thing charges like an electric car, could charge over a normal power cable or an EV charging cable. Has a top speed of 75 miles per hour, up to 81 miles of range. Like this thing is just really is a nice looking electric scooter. It has a big screen. Has a 10.25 inch LCD screen to help with navigation and like phone updates, phone notifications and things like that. Just looks nice. But maybe I just want to live in like a future like Blade Runner world where I have an electric bike. Do you? I know you don't drive, Sherlyn, but would you be into an electric scooter?
Oh here? I mean, this looks more tricked out than like any electric scooter. It's not like a Vespa. It's not like
Vespa has an electric scooter that costs $7,000. This one could cost around $16,000. So
so more than twice the price. But this one looks a lot beefier. Like you said, it's almost like the Tesla electric truck thing that we saw, like the Cybertruck in terms of.
Don't you dare! This thing has curves and like actual nice lines.
But it also has angles. It also has these like.
Cybertruck is just like a triangle with wheels, and I hate it.
Okay, this is certainly not just a triangle with wheels. Well, we describe it better to you, dear listener, but maybe you should just look at the pictures on Engadget.com.
Go look at the photos. Check out the videos too, because and the write up. BMW is really hilarious, like catalog style write up. Like I wake up in the morning, look out over my city. I unhook my CE04 electric motorcycle and feel the morning breeze on my face. It is very much that. It's hilarious.
To be clear, it's CE04.
CE04,
right? Yeah. Because also, what a boss name, CEO. Like, all right, okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody would say CE04 just because it's easier.
Exactly. But like you would just, but it's not it's not like exactly CEO, but maybe BMW knew what it was doing, naming this a CE04. Maybe one day we'll get to the CE007. But
I have to say, I'm getting more and more interested in these things. I'm testing out an electric bike right now. You know, like a pedal bike from I forget the company. Testing out an electric bike right now. And it is very nice to have like that kick of extra power when you're going uphill or something.
Yes.
I could totally see this. I think motorcycles are super dangerous. I would never take something like this on a highway, but around a city, you know, and for simple driving, like this seems fun.
Yeah, I enjoy this. Well, I mean, speaking of fun products that, were launched this year, I'm going to start with Sony, which brought us new neck speakers this week. Remember, we've seen these sort of necklace style, not even necklace style. They're not necklace style. There's this like curved bar that sits on your neck, like a little tentacle that's like constantly vaguely massaging your shoulders. Yeah. It's borderline creepy if you want to think about it that way, but it's also just basically like an open speaker system that will project sound right under your ears. Yeah. And it's supposedly this new model is called in Sony classic Sony fashion, beautiful names like SRS-NB10 or NB10. And it's supposed to cost $150 when it goes on sale later this year. And Sony said it's designed with remote workers in mind. So like, you know, if you're working from home or whatever, and you need a speaker and you don't happen to have an audio system or
you don't have earbuds or headphones or the things everybody has right now.
Then use this to play music. I totally thought this through.
Listen, guys, a couple of weeks ago, I wrote an article about will Sony ever get its groove back? you know, and I look at products like this and be like, what the hell are you doing?
Short
Nobody
answer.
wants this. What problem are you solving here? Who in their
Here.
right mind allows this to actually come to market? This is an experiment, sure, in a back room, and then you laugh at the person who came up with it. It's not something you release to the public. What are you doing?
It's for the people who, for the very specific case where you're at home, you do not have speakers, or you don't want speakers to bother your spouse or your partner or whatever. And
no, this will bother you because everybody hears it. Everybody, it
right.
is
supposedly is supposed to be for your ears alone, right?
No.
Supposedly, Sony's wording is like, this will project sound upwards into just your ears and no one else's, but obviously anyone near you will hear it.
It sounds okay. So I tested the last model of this thing, and it was a goddamn nightmare. I hated it so much. Like it is one of those things that's very Sony. Like at first it was like a big collar around my neck. It was a little heavy, like heavier than I wanted. I felt like a cow, like just being collared by Sony. It didn't support Bluetooth. It had like this little control box that I had to like plug in a line-in connection or an optical connection, because they initially developed it for TV watching, so that you would plug it into your TV and have this collared speaker around your neck. The speaker, which sounded fine, but was loud enough to fill your entire house, so everybody was just hearing what you were hearing. It was the dumbest thing I've seen come out of Sony in a very long time, and this looks like, okay, they made some changes. It's a little smaller, slimmer. It supports Bluetooth like everything should. It supports Bluetooth like an actual modern product. But nobody wants this. Please tell me if you actually do want a collar neck speaker. Shoot us an email at podcastinggadget.com and tell us what you're going to do with that. And I'll give you so many other better alternatives for your life.
Wonderful. Hey, speaking of a potentially better alternative, remember the company called Nothing?
No.
Exactly. It's founded by former or OnePlus co-founder Carl Pei, and finally launched its first product after lots and lots of teasing. We already kind of knew, I guess, that the first product coming out of it would be earbuds, and they've revealed that basically this first product's called the Ear One. Again, great name all around, just Nothing, Ear One, SB, N10, whatever. Anyhow, the big feature or the big news about the Ear One is that it will offer 3 microphone active noise cancellation for just £99, or also approximately $99 US. It's not clear if that's just the retail price. I don't think that math works out just correctly like that. But I mean, that's a nice price for 3 mic ANC. But it's also not as cheap as, like, you know, the dozens of options of true wireless earbuds out there if you're not looking at like premium ANC. So that's in addition to that too, the earbuds themselves have a transparent case, so you can see all the components in them, which cool beans, I guess.
Nice. Is this something that will be sold outside of China?
It's to me clear that Europe is on the list for them. The £99 pricing. Yeah, but it is not yet clear if it's gonna come to the US. Nothing, since it's not really even launched anything for real just yet. We're not sure kind of what their strategy is. But
you know what I think about this, Sherlyn?
Go ahead.
Nothing.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't even... Hey, speaking of nothing. You know who's trying to make something of themselves? Qualcomm wants you to remember that it makes mobile chips, because, well, with all these companies like Samsung making its own Exynos, Google rumored to be working on its own Whitechapel, Apple making its own silicone, and Xiaomi and more out of Asia also working on their own chipsets, Qualcomm's foothold in the mobile chipset space might kind of be closing up. But anyhow, it wants you to remember that, hey, it makes the Snapdragon 888. It's a very powerful chip. So today at exactly 11 a.m. Eastern, so 5 minutes before we at this
before
point
we're talking about it,
the embargo lifted, and Qualcomm announced that Asus, that is teamed up with Asus to make a smartphone with the Snapdragon 888, but also with a lot of different Snapdragon technologies. And it's supposedly targeting people in the Snapdragon Insiders program, which is
all those people.
Well, yeah. Hey, all 1.6 million of them, apparently 1.6 million of you signed up for the Snapdragon Insiders program.
Okay.
But it's also going to be available to the public at the same time in August, and it'll cost $1,500. Now, for that, the phone, by the way, we were talking about great names this episode. Hey, this phone is called the Smartphone for Snapdragon Insiders. I swear to God, that's literally the name.
Yeah.
So anyhow, what features does it have? Okay. A 6.8 inch AMOLED display from Samsung,
Nice.
with a 144 hertz refresh rate. Yeah, 144.
That is way more than you need on a phone.
But yes.
Okay, bro.
Sure.
Yeah.
Up to 1200 nits of brightness, HDR10 and 10 plus certified, 3 rear cameras with a 64 megapixel main, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 8 megapixel telephoto, 24 megapixel front camera, AI auto zoom.
Can shoot up to 8K video. Does it have like terabytes of storage to hold all this video and 64 megapixel photos?
So I can't even find. I'll go look at the storage in a little bit.
I see 512 gigabytes of storage in our specs, 16 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah. You're not going to be able to do that's a lot of storage for a phone, but that's not much if you're going to be taking a lot of 64 megapixel photos in 8K video.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Plus, also, now that price is steep. But one of the things about this phone is that, according to Qualcomm, it's the first phone or one of the first to support its Snapdragon Sound platform, which has things like low Bluetooth latency, different listening profiles, active noise cancellation, blah, blah, blah. And so the phone has stereo speakers to kind of show off this platform technology. But it also comes with a pair of master and dynamic true wireless active noise canceling earbuds. So I guess you can think of the price as slightly more worth it or cheaper if you include like $100.
I mean, those are like maybe $150 headphones or earbuds, maybe $200. Yeah, that's not a huge chunk of this price.
So it's still kind of a $1,200 phone with $200 earbuds in them. Now, 4,000 milliamp hour battery in there. Look. If you're a Snapdragon insider, you probably care a lot about specs. And there's plenty of like numbers here that might seem impressive on paper. It'll run Android 11, by the way, and Qualcomm still hasn't said about its like plans to support upgrades over the air and how many years it'll support and that sort of thing, how quickly you'll get Android 12. So don't think of this as kind of a commercial phone. I would think of this as a pretty niche phone. I don't even think
it's like those like prototypes Qualcomm would occasionally build to show off like, hey, this is what a phone would look like. Reference design that has all of our stuff. Here's one you can actually buy. That's kind of cool, I guess. But this brings to mind like a bigger question to me. Is spec chasing even worth it on phones? Like, what does it matter if you have a slightly faster processor or a 144 hertz display versus maybe a 90 hertz display, which would still look pretty smooth? Like, I always understood it on the PC side, because on the PC side, you could do a lot, right? You could play serious games. It could help you with rendering video. It could help you with like doing actual stuff. I don't understand. Like, what are you going to do with 16 gigabytes of RAM on your phone? Congratulations, I guess. But I don't know.
Look, you're talking to someone, aka me, who has spent the better part of the last year using a Pixel 4a as the main driver, which like it's good enough. I don't need a high-end chipset with 800 gigs of RAM. No, okay, fine. This thing has like 6 gigs of RAM, I think, and it's enough. I mean, look, if you use your phone to, I don't know, pop it into a dock and then turn it into some sort of Samsung DeX setup, which is horrible, but, you know, some people love it, then fine. Maybe you do need that power and RAM. Maybe for your multitasking like crazy. But I agree with Devindra in the sense that, like, spec chasing to a point can get too much, especially if it starts to cost you upwards of $1,200.
Buy a computer. Buy a gaming PC for $1,500.
What are you doing?
Go play some actual games. Like, I don't know what the point of a 144 hertz screen is on mobile, just because Yeah, I know there are a lot of MOBAs. There are a lot of like, games are really fast paced, but I want, better than 60 hertz is certainly nice, but you get a lot of smoothness with 90 hertz, to be honest, or even 120. I don't see the need to like start doing gaming screen stuff. But anyway, this isn't a phone for really many people, but it exists, so that's cool.
It's been your week of weird little niche gadgets like this. Little roundup of weird little niche gadget news here on Engadget.
Speaking of like weird week, one thing I just want to mention really quickly, news broke this week that Donald Trump is suing Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, class action complaint saying they violated his First Amendment rights. I'm not going to spend too much time with this because this is classic Trump stuff of just like announcing something that will probably go nowhere. We know legally he can't claim First Amendment rights from private companies. Companies that kicked him off for being for violating their rules and for inciting violence when he was freaking president. It's not illegal to kick him off of a private service for that. But it is more about the messaging. We're already seeing him try to fundraise for this. It makes good political sense because it's another grievance he can rally people around with. But yeah, I do expect this lawsuit to go nowhere because it really has nowhere to go. Let's move on to what we've been working on. Sherlyn, what's up with you?
I have some fun behind the scenes story that I'm working on that will go up next week. You guys will see it on Engadget.com. And then, just all the secrets and embargoes forever on repeat until I fall asleep. How about you, Dev?
There's so much happening. I've been trying to review the HTC Vive headsets for weeks now, and every week something new happens. So it's like last week it was like all the OS betas. Like, okay, I guess I got to test and write up and do videos on this. And this week I was gearing up. I was like, I'm going to start writing this review. The new Nintendo Switch gets announced. So I'm like, okay, I guess I got to make a video and write about what that is. And then we have to prep the podcast. Yeah.
Right. I had to finish a review. I was like, I'm either going to stay up till 1 a.m. to finish this or I'm never going to finish this. So I just freaking finished my Fitbit Lux review.
Look forward to my VR stuff eventually, folks. We are kind of like just a little underwater here, and there's always too much stuff to do. So I will get to it soon. But the Vive Focus 3, just want to say it's a nice little thing, but it's not really meant for consumers. So I'll talk more about that soon. Let's move on to our pop culture picks. What are you digging this week, Sherlyn?
Yeah, so I was super annoyed this week when I this past weekend, when I kept getting pings from Amazon about like, hey, a new show on
Prime Video. Dumb movie. Yeah,
this dumb movie, The Tomorrow War. And then I read the synopsis. I was like, fine, I'll add it to my watch list.
They got you.
I ended up, they did. I mean, the synopsis was good. It was a Chris Pratt movie. I was like, this is a great, like a big blockbustery movie from Amazon, and I haven't seen them do something like that, I think, in a while. So I was like, okay, might as well. I'm always looking for something to watch. So The Tomorrow War, starring Chris Pratt on Amazon Prime Video, I actually really enjoyed it. Now, by no means is this like a masterfully produced movie, like a Tour de Force or whatever.
Yeah.
It is just a fun like sci-fi alien flick, but plus time traveling, plus explosions, plus to me what seemed like WWF style spectacle near the end. It was really ridiculous. That last 2 to 5 minutes was amazingly ridiculous. Like, it was just like, whoa. I went from oh my god to like ha you loser at some point. It was I enjoyed it. I think the pacing was fun, like was engaging enough for me to follow. I don't know I don't know if you've seen it, Devendra, and I know
I've seen the trailers. It's like I was busy over the last weekend, like watching good stuff. There was so much good stuff happening. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. But I saw people like ragging on the Tomorrow War on Twitter, being like, yeah, it's dumb fun, but man, is it so dumb. I did see the trailer, and it is bad when a movie trailer like brings up all the obvious plot holes for what a movie is trying to do. In this movie, it is people from the future coming to grab people from the past to fight a war in the future. And I'm just thinking, this got to be, you figured out time travel before you could figure out ways to kick these aliens' asses? Like, are you?
That's not even good.
Shouldn't we fix the alien problem in the past rather than bringing people to the future to die?
Yes. Yeah. I agree. No spoilers. So one thing they did was like one of the reasons they give you, this is not a spoiler. One of the reasons is the reason they had to come back to the past to recruit people to fight in the future is because I don't think they believe in like parallel realities or something, or they're trying to.
Yeah, they don't believe in parallel timelines. Yeah,
they believe in their parallel reality dying if they don't do something about the people there. Like they believe that.
This is so messed up.
Right. Anyhow,
please come die for our timeline.
Yeah,
a timeline which does not matter to you. But
yeah, and people actively go and die for it. Anyhow, but but people in the future have been wiped out by these aliens.
Tired of these future people, man.
Yeah. So, but the science is kind of strange. The way they have time travel working in there is also kind of odd. I'm just like, yeah, Devinder's right. Why don't you just fix? I kept asking, screaming at the screen, going like, just go back and fix it.
Let the people in the past fix the problem so they don't have to worry about aliens in the future. Anyway.
Anyhow, but I had fun despite all of that because. Again, like it's a father-daughter story at its heart. So I think Devinder, you might like that. And then there's but that part's also a little bit annoying sometimes. So I don't know.
I'm also like not fully sold on Chris Pratt anymore as an action star. Like I think he's good in Guardians because it gets to his goofiness, but all the Jurassic Park stuff, like all the stuff he's done since
the serious
since Guardians,
stuff,
not even serious. Like Jurassic
stuff.
Park is him trying to be basically Indiana Jones with dinosaurs, and I hated that. Like I hate his character. So anyway, let's move on. One thing I think we can agree on is a good slasher movie, and I think Fear Street Part 1, 1994, which is on Netflix right now. It's an adaptation of the R.L. Stine Fear Street books. I think this is really good. I really enjoyed this.
Had a harder time with it. I watched it too.
I
think it's just I don't enjoy teenage angst a lot, so that's part of it to me. Yeah, but go ahead.
Really? I mean, you're 5 years away from it, Sherlyn. I mean, I feel like you should still be feeling that teenage angst. I don't know.
I am. That's why
this is a joke because Sherlyn's not 5 years away from it. Yeah.
But go on. It's a really good. I mean, I enjoy the fear of it.
It's really good. It's really fun. Like it is a self-aware slasher movie. It sort of like builds on. I think it is like the closest to building on Scream that we've gotten since that movie came out. It actually has the same composer. So Marco Beltrami does the score. And so it sounds like Scream at a certain point. There is like a skull-faced guy running around, but it knows what it's doing, which I think is really smart. Even the opening scene, which is just like, hey, we're going to do a Scream. Okay. And you're all like, oh, okay. I've been here. I know what this is like. I like smart movies that know, like, don't treat me dumb as an audience member. And, does really cool and interesting things with the genre. I think Lee Janiak, who directed this and also the 2 follow-up movies, it's a really cool concept. They shot all 3 movies at the same time. So sort of like a TV show, basically. Like she just shot a continuous TV show, except they're separate movies set in different timelines. I believe the other one is like in the 60s or 70s. And then that one is going to be airing later this week. And then the other one
all airing already.
No, and then it's all like it was supposed to go to theaters. Like they were supposed to be like one per month in the summer at theaters, and they just couldn't do that. The final one's gonna be in like 1666. And these movies are about like a witch that's been haunting and cursing a town, and is
Sarah
like
Fear.
It is the driving force behind serial killers and big crazy things happening. I really like the characters in this movie. I think it's really funny. I like the music drops. I like the style of it. The kills are really interesting. And I'm not even like a big like horror movie kills guy. Like I just think like some of the things they did here are really cool. People die that I didn't expect to die. Like this movie surprised me at many, many points, which hey, that's really hard to do in 2021 after I've seen so many horror movies. So definitely check it out. I think you'd have a lot of fun with it, everybody. Yeah, one other thing I want to mention, maybe similar to the Tomorrow War, except except the actual war we're going to be fighting for the future is The Ministry for the Future, a novel by Kim Stanley Robinson that I've been reading. Kim Stanley Robinson is one of my favorite like speculative fiction, science fiction writers. He writes big sci-fi stories that are based in reality, using real science actually. And The Ministry for the Future just feels like he is angry. He is just so pissed off about our inability to do anything around climate change. This book is full on climate horror. You know, it is just about death.
I kind of like that.
And well, I don't know. I think it'd be really depressing because it is kind of a hard read. It is about relentless death. It's about what's going to happen to us as a society. It's about countries in the world signing to the Paris Climate Agreement and not following through with it, and how that leads to inevitable death for the poor countries all around the world, specifically India, starting with India. It is horrific, but also so real that, man, it feels like a roadmap for the future. It feels like a roadmap for the next couple decades. So to me, that is kind of terrifying. But I hope people read this and just absorb like what it's kind of saying and going through, because I do think like the big future tomorrow war we have to fight is climate change, and I also know apparently that's a part of that movie. But climate change is the thing that is going to destroy us all if we don't honestly do something about it. So read this book. It is terrifying. It is, if you remember the scene in Terminator 2, the Sarah Connor dream sequence where she is just holding the chain link fence, watching the kids play, and then a nuclear bomb goes off and everybody gets roasted. Reading this book is like watching that scene over and over again on repeat for hours. So it is horrific, but I feel like some people may have my sensibilities when it comes to like really tough things and difficult things. This is the stuff we should be reading. This is the stuff we should be assigning in schools for kids to like, you know, understand about what's happening, because it's real science just extrapolate into the future. It's terrifying, but I think you should all read it, and also check out all of Kim Stanley Robinson's books. I love his work. And that's The Ministry for the Future. And I think you can wrap, Shalyn.
Yep. We have about 6-ish minutes left
so we can talk to the chat for a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do the outro. Ready?
Yep.
And that's it for our episode this week, everyone. Thank you as always for listening. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our very own Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by Ben Ellman. You can find Devindra online at
Devindra on Twitter, and at the /Filmcast movie podcast at /film.com.
If you want to send me great alien movies and time travel movies, but not both of them together, you can hit me up on Twitter at Sherlyn Lowe. Email us your thoughts at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review on iTunes and subscribe on anything that gets podcasts, including Spotify.
Okay, yeah. So chat. Sorry,
we've got a couple of minutes. Yeah.
We can usually hang out for a little bit longer, but we have to go at 11:30 today. So if you have any other questions, if you want to talk about anything from the BMW electric scooter to Google antitrust to like Nothing's earbuds. I was just saying in the chat that it feels like Nothing might try to collaborate with Nine Inch Nails at some point, just because like they have the same kind of aesthetic. I'm pretty sure that Trent Reznor's like personal label just to release Nine Inch Nails stuff is called the Null Corporation or something. So it's like basically the same thing.
That would be the coolest thing for them to do, but they wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Well, Nine Inch Nails wouldn't do that.
Nine Inch Nails wouldn't do it, but also Nothing would be like, who are Nine Inch Nails? You know, Carl Pei would be like, oh yeah, I really like Closer. Carl Pei, the 70-year-old businessman. Yeah. Yeah.
So sad. Before we get to questions, just a quick shout out to all our regulars and new names. So Chris Turner, Jedi Mind Trick on You is back. Mo A is here. A new name, John St. Pierre, I believe.
Hey.
Buddy 305 Love is back as well. I think we've already said hi to Mark Dell. D-Man is back. We see Jonathan Anderson. We said hi. Will So we also said hi. John Park might be missing. We don't know. But if you're watching this back later,
it is funny. I listen to many other podcasts, and I hear Mark Dell. I hear your name talked about on the next Lander show. So thank you for supporting podcasts all around. It is funny to see supporters, spreading across shows. I love that.
It's a community.
Yeah, it's a great community.
So we've got Gonzalo Costa asking in the chat, have you tried Stadia on Google TV? Haven't talked about Stadia for a while. And
I haven't
maybe it
actually
hasn't been
tried
worth
it.
Yeah.
talking about for a while.
It might be in the news next week, just because there's an event next week, I believe. Let me just double check that it's public knowledge.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But yeah,
Well,
just
but
like,
the
I
question
mean,
is whether or not like you've had any interactions with it recently, and I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
No,
Not
I am
recently,
testing
no.
out xCloud though, like more of the xCloud stuff. xCloud is now officially on iOS and browsers because they have browser streaming now. So, hey, the what do you call it? The Backbone game controller is really good if you have an iPhone, folks. I highly recommend it.
All right. Were there more questions? Jim Gem says hello from Indonesia. Selamat datang.
Jedi Mind Tricks on You says, do you guys think that there will be a Switch Pro? So Jedi Mind Tricks, I'm pretty sure you weren't around for the actual Switch OLED discussion, but the idea, I think, generally is that if there were to be a Switch Pro, it might come out, I don't know, in the next year and a half or 2 years.
Year or so. It could honestly come out next year because Nintendo's all about hitting those holiday seasons. So yeah, don't be surprised. Switch Pro.
And people might treat it as like the Switch 1.5 or the Switch 1.7 or something.
Maybe.
Like the entire console update cycle has been kind of broken now.
It's fine.
You can just take your games, put them on something else. So
Switch is a forever console for them in the way the idea of the Xbox has been since the Xbox One, right? So there's that. I think we should wrap so our video team can like prep for their next thing.
Yeah. Just a quick shout that what I was talking about was the Google for Games Summit, which is next week. Google for Games Developer Summit. Anyhow.
Okay, so yeah, look to that to see more Stadia news. But we gotta go. So let's thank the video team. The stream comes to you via our video team, which is led by Kyle Mock, who's back for the first time in several weeks, and Julio Barrientos, maybe Luke Brooks this week, but it's powered by everyone in the chat. Again, thank you for making this interactive and fun. Again, if you've stuck around this long, you know that algorithms control our lives. Rate the show 5 stars on iTunes. It really helps other people find us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, folks.
Come back next week. Bye.